Good morning, good morning, good morning, family. Oh, you can let it run. You can let it run. Good morning, good morning, good morning, family. You're on with the Black Lives Matter Youth Vanguard for our youth takeover of This Is Not a Drill. Long time no see. We're coming to you live from KBLA Talk 1580 on Crenshaw Boulevard in Los Angeles, California. We're also simulcasting to facebook.com/BLMLA. And of course, the best way to listen is through the KBLA app. Make sure you download that on your phone. My name is Amara Keone Abdullah. I'm the co-founder of the Black Lives Matter Youth Vanguard and a rising sophomore at Clark Atlanta University. Go Panthers!
What's up, y'all? My name is Shiraz Lawrence. I'm a member of the Black Lives Matter Youth Vanguard, and I'm a rising sophomore with a twist at Howard University. Thank y'all for joining us for This Is Not a Drill on KBLA Talk 1580 every Saturday morning from 8 to 10 a.m. And this Saturday, the Black Lives Youth Vanguard takes to the airwaves to give you our perspective on what's happening in the world and what's on the minds of the young people. Before we get into it, let's ground ourselves with our land, labor, and life acknowledgement.
So we recognize that this country was built on the stolen land of indigenous people and the stolen labor of our African ancestors. Let's all take a deep breath in and breathe out. This land in which we inhabit, in what is now known as Los Angeles, is physically situated on the ancestral homelands of the Tongva people, the Quiche people, the Chumash people, and the Gabrielino people. We pay respect to all indigenous people, past, present, and future, and their continuing presence in the homeland throughout their historical diaspora.
Take another deep breath in and out. We pay homage to those who were stolen from Africa, placed in bondage, falsely named as chattel, and forced into labor, who were called slaves but never submitted as such, who have always been fully human with an unbroken connection to the divine and to each other. We honor our African ancestors for the still unpaid labor that built what is now the Americas.
And a third breath in and out. To both our indigenous and African forebears, we commit to the continued struggle for liberation and reparations, for it is only through freedom and justice that we can truly give honor. Ashe.
Today is our Youth Vanguard edition of This Is Not a Drill, and we're discussing student activism with our guest, Angel Marie Taylor, with the Black Student Union at Cal State Channel Islands. You are invited to join the conversation and share your thoughts, questions, and comments at 800-920-1580. Again, that is 800-920-1580. Please feel free to share your thoughts.
Yeah, so I'm really excited for our conversation today because, as you know, student activism has basically been my whole life, But this is something that I feel like, not to take the credit too much for, but I feel like I kind of brought you into it in a way. One could say that, a lot of the service that you do is a form of activism. And we always talk about how there's different ways to organize. But I really do feel like student activism and like putting the heat on your institution sometimes is a really unique and niche experience. So I wanted to kind of ask how you feel about like being brought into that space and being around people who have kind of been like painted one way, but you know them to be another way. You know what I mean? You know them to be well-intentioned. You know these people have a reason for doing the things that they're doing, regardless of the fact that you've been raised in the public school environment and seen, how schools react to students who put the heat on their own institutions.
Good question. It's honestly been great being around because it definitely was a new environment for me. I went to my first couple protests. I had been to one before meeting you guys, but ever since we've like built a relationship, I've been so much more taking part in this social change in your guys' fashion, I would say, because like you said, service can be a type of activism, but it's definitely a different feel when you're up in people's face and demanding and demanding and demanding, where I'm more used to behind the scenes growth at a grassroots level, which you guys do a lot of too. But it's definitely a different feel. There's like some adrenaline that comes with it. Um, but it's hard work and it's worth it and it needs to, continue to be done.
Yeah, we always talk about in the BLM space, you're considered one of the types of people who does more invisible work. So, it's just as important, but a lot of the times it's not seen. And so we want people to understand that there's people doing all of these things. There's people putting together those produce bags that you get at BLM meetings. There's people making sure we have enough copies of flyers that we hand out. There's people making sure that we have enough copies of petitions that we're, pushing, um, and so much more. So Shiraz is going to dive into some of the things that um, he does specifically for service a little bit later in our conversation, but I just wanted to touch on that for a little bit. I've been organizing with Black Lives Matter Youth Vanguard. Well, I am Black Lives Matter Youth Vanguard. I was for a little while. It was literally just me and my sister. We were at Laces, and we were organizing against random searches. That was the main thing that we really saw what was wrong with our school system. I still, even though I was there for it, I still look back on the fact that this was like a real thing, and I'm like taken aback. Even though I had to see it and had to witness it, you mean you guys were literally pulling out middle school students from their classrooms? These are kids under the ages of 13. Like, you cannot have been older than 14, I think, in middle school. You're pulling these little kids out of their classes talking about you have hand sanitizer in your bag. You must be sniffing it trying to get high. Like, let's be serious. We're at Laces. There's no okay, not to call them out too much, but we're at Laces. There's nobody who's a threat here. Um, but yeah, I'm saying all of that to say, sometimes I'll look back at like the fact that that was a real thing, and I'm just like really grateful for the fact that my brother didn't have to go through that, like he got to that space when we had already ended random searches. So that's just another example to me. Like, that's hard proof that, we can make a change, because there was really so much pushback when it came to, like, people trying to make it so that we still had random searches, because, like, people genuinely do believe that children are the biggest threat to one another, which is really sad. And I think that that's, like, that makes room for us to have a deeper conversation about what it really looks like when kids are demonized, what that does to kids, what that does to, the community in general. But yeah, especially me being somebody who was like a little bit more of a quote unquote problem child. Quote unquote problem child. I think I really understood. I really understand the most. Like what that really can do to someone.
I went to a small charter for middle school, and so I actually didn't experience these searches, but I can imagine how this would contribute to how students think, because this is kind of before they get to the real world in a way, and this kind of just trains them and shows them what it's going to be like previous to when they're there, in the way in like you can see, for example, like black kids getting targeted for a random search in a middle school. It's middle school and they're getting targeted for something like this, and that's just a taste of, I guess you could say, what's to come in the real world. So it's just a reflection on a smaller scale, and definitely could be impactful on students' minds.
Yeah, I think it's just a little crazy looking back, but at the same time, we always said that we know random searches are never random. Like, it's never random. Because if you looked, especially at a school like I was at in middle school, like Laces, it was technically a pretty diverse school, but Black people were still the minority. So when it came to, like, who was actually pulled out of class, it's like you have 3 Black kids in this group of 5, and there's 4 Black kids in the class of 30 total. Like, it's not random. So the fact that these things were, like, really happening, I think that we kind of gloss over it a little bit because, we've gotten rid of them. But it's important that we still talk about it because I was never personally searched, but my sister was searched, and she's 21 years old, These people are not that old. This is not something that happened a long time ago. And I feel like, sometimes we allow the media to make us think that, like, these events that happened were so long ago, and they were not. Like, this is literally a few years ago. So, yeah, I just wanted to uplift that and, like, have a real conversation about that for a little while. Hopefully Tandi will be able to come on and talk about it a little bit more, in a show in the future when we're back from school, when we're all back from school and she's back from South Africa. But before we get into our main conversation, we'll dive into this week's headlines and give your take on what back to school is looking like right about now. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580 AM, and we've got a lot to talk about.
Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Whoa, it's you, the Capital One Bank guy.
That's what they call me.
Mind if I get a selfie?
Yeah, sure thing. Say no fees or minimums on your Capital One checking account.
Wow, that's a keeper. So, where are you heading?
I'm off to spread the good news that Capital One helps people keep more money in their wallet with no overdraft fees.
Oh, you're the best Capital One Bank guy.
Hey, mind if I get a selfie?
Sure.
Say, Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
Popsicles, sprinklers, a cool breeze. Talk about refreshing. You know what else is refreshing this summer? A brand new phone with Verizon. Yep, get a new phone on any plan with Select Phone Trade-in and My Plan. And lock down a low price for 3 years on any plan with My Plan. This is a deal for everyone, whether you're a new or existing customer. Swing by Verizon today for our best phone deals. 3-year price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate only. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Okay.
Stomach issues? Who are you?
Oh, it must
Pancreas.
be,
I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. about it. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Unapologetically progressive, unapologetically black. More now, BLM's This Is Not a Drill.
That shrink in Beverly Hills, you know the one. Doctor, everything will be alright. Instead of asking them how much of your time is left, ask them how much of your mind, baby. Cause in this life, things are much harder than in the afterworld. This life, you're on your own. And if the elevator tries to break you down, go crazy.
I hope my mom is listening at this point. I'm Amara Keone Abdullah, and this is Not a Drill on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm co-hosting today with Shiraz Lawrence. We're both organizers with the Black Lives Matter Youth Vanguard, soon to be starting our sophomore years at our respective HBCUs. I'm at Clark Atlanta University, and Shiraz is at Howard. What headlines do we have for this week, Shiraz?
Alrighty, let's get straight into it. It's Black August, a time to fast, study, train, and fight. Every August, we honor George Jackson, his younger brother Jonathan, who was killed trying to help George free himself in 1970, and all political prisoners. Black August was founded out in the California prison system in order to honor political prisoners like George Jackson, who was a 16-year-old when he was sent to prison and grew into one of the most powerful fighters for black freedom. Because he organized prisoners, he was treated harshly and ultimately assassinated by a prison guard on August 21st, 1971. Wow.
Yeah, I know my mom has been talking about George Jackson for my whole life, but I've actually never personally read any of his books. I remember my sister was reading Blood in My Eye for a little while, and, well, not for a little while. It's not that small of a book, but she was reading it a little while ago, and it was like a huge topic of conversation in our house, and I actually felt a little left out, so I'm going to have to read that pretty soon. Today, back in Los Angeles, Black August in Los Angeles is leading an annual Martha's Martyrs Tour from the Youth Justice Coalition. The bus leaves at 11 a.m. from 7625 South Central Ave. A $10 donation is requested. So if anybody wants to, go on that tour, I highly recommend that. Yeah, that should be pretty exciting. Donald Trump has unleashed federal troops on the mostly black residents of Washington, D.C., claiming that they need to clean up the city. It is a false claim that we need military with assault rifles to clean up D.C. Violent crime in the city is at a 30-year low. You're in D.C., so, you're a witness to that. Well, for most of the year. Not this year, but we'll talk about that later.
Right.
They're arresting mostly young black men and boys for just living. That's no surprise to me. Federal agents are wearing masks are on film arresting people for things like smoking outside and filming the police. They are kicking down apartment doors with no warrants, not looking for anyone in particular, just demanding to see what and who all is inside. This is fascism. It's important to emphasize that. This is literally the example of what fascism is. So people keep talking about, what if a fascist state, what if fascism starts to take over the United States? It's already here, guys. It's here. This is literally fascism.
Yeah, I saw a video of a Howard student who was, recording the sky, and there was just, police helicopters circling the campus for hours. And so definitely, if there's anybody who's listening, stay safe, be careful out there. Try to be with somebody if you can, but definitely be safe at this time.
So federal agents have conducted an immigration enforcement operation Thursday at California Governor Gavin Newsom's press conference that was held at the Japanese American National Museum. The federal force seems to be a part of an escalating beef between Governor Newsom and Donald Trump. Newsom's press conference was to announce that he's aiming to put new congressional maps on for California onto the ballot in a new November 4th special election. This is an attempt to counter the Trump-baked mid-decade restricting being pushed by the Republicans in Texas. U.S. Customs and Border Protection official Gregory Boniveau denied that this was any sort of threat and claimed that this was a normal part of their patrols, which is, obviously completely false. We've had a lot of issues with immigration, and I feel like a lot of the government officials in California try to act like, they're trying to protect their, well, let me not say citizens, but trying to protect the residents of, their state. But things like this would not be happening if they were really putting their best foot forward. So, hopefully this problem is solved soon.
This past Friday, the LA Metro temporarily renamed the Hyde Park Metro station in honor of rapper and entrepreneur Nipsey Hussle on what would have been his 40th birthday. The Hyde Park station near Crenshaw Boulevard and Slauson Avenue has been temporarily named the Nipsey Hussle station through the end of the month. They handed out 2 limited edition Nipsey Hussle tap cards that folks waited in long lines, which I did see, to make sure that they got theirs. I was super happy to, I love this. That train, I took that train every day to school, every day. And definitely interested in getting one of those cards.
I hope they're still available because I definitely wasn't about to wait in that line. But
I don't know. I'm gonna have to buy one off somebody or something. But
they're definitely gonna be selling those on like Grail, selling those on Grail for $500.
Man, but definitely, I think something significant for the community and just a reminder of his presence still in the community and his everlasting legacy, which everybody still holds deeply in their hearts. On August 9th, a New Brunswick and New Jersey police officer shot and killed 68-year-old Deborah Terrell inside her elder care facility in which she lived. The police claimed that the retired bus driver, who had some documented mental health challenges, had a knife. Even if she had a knife, it's not clear why pepper spray and a taser wouldn't have been enough to restrain this black grandmother who stood 5'4" tall and weighed just about 110 pounds. Organizers are planning to rally for Miss Terrell next Wednesday, August 20th at 5 p.m. at New Brunswick City Hall. More information is posted on our Instagram at BLM Grassroots.
And this is not the first thing that we've heard about Brunswick, New Jersey. It seems like they always have something going on. So this is really sad that, this problem keeps occurring within that city. I hope that, the people there are able to give enough pushback to where this is not an issue anymore.
Yeah, and this is honestly insane. I mean, it's not like she's 60. Like, this is a 68-year-old lady, and who they said had
10 pounds.
Who they said this is not a
somebody who
who holds any threat, and they say she had a knife. Like they said, even if she did have a knife,
there's
a police
other
officer
that
should be able to handle that in a much easier way than with a gun. Whether it's pepper spray or even it's an extreme, but there's definitely non-lethal ways to handle that situation. A mass rally is planned for next Friday, August 22nd, in Homewood, Alabama, for 18-year-old Jabari Peoples, who was shot in the back and killed by a cop on June 23rd. The shooting was ruled justified after the body cam footage was released. Jabari should be entering his sophomore year at Alabama A&M University. Instead, he was killed while sitting with his girlfriend in the car of a soccer field. Heavily edited body cam footage was finally released to the family last week, which shows only about a minute of the encounter that stole Jabari's life. The family is demanding to see the full unedited video. The name of the cop who killed Jabari is being withheld, and the district attorney has determined that no charges will be filed. Edited body cam footage is honestly crazy. Like, you should, like, that footage should be like completely raw in its entirety, like always whenever it's
especially
out.
I think that a lot of the law enforcement will kind of like hide behind the fact that they wear body cams and be like, well, you know, I have my body cam on, blah blah blah, and then as soon as it comes down to a situation where we would actually need their body cam footage, suddenly something happened to it. Only a minute of it exists. It cut out right when things got nasty. And I just think that that's really crazy. I feel like that's another thing that we could start pushing for, like the fact that you really need to not edit your body cam footage, especially when you're releasing it to the family of somebody who was killed. Yeah. So, you know, that's something that I feel like we can talk about more.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine how that family would feel after something like that happens, and you're not even given the full story. You just, like, you don't even get to know what happened in entirety, and people are still hiding things from you.
So make sure you follow BLM BHAM. That's at BLM_BHAM and at BLM Grassroots for more information on how to fight for justice in Jabari's name. And that's a wrap for Headlines this week. Stay tuned for our main conversation. Join us in the conversation with your thoughts, questions, and comments by calling 800-920-1580. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580 AM. We've got a lot to talk about.
BLM's This Is Not a Drill, only on...
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams says a 12th Harlem cooling tower tested positive for Legionella, but will be fixed by Friday.
I want to reassure everyone the air is safe to breathe and there's no risk to our drinking water or our water supply.
92 people have been sickened in 3 weeks with 3 deaths. Health officials are urging those in 5 affected zip codes with flu-like symptoms to get treated quickly. Veteran rapper E40 is launching On One Infusion Wine, a flavored wine in mango, mixed berry, peach, pineapple, and strawberry. It will hit liquor stores nationwide in the coming months. And a federal judge has blocked the Trump administration from cutting funding to schools with DEI programs, ruling the move unconstitutional and a threat to educators' free speech. The decision also stops enforcement of an education department letter 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Are you ready to be a part of the conversation that will help shape our nation's future? Get ready to join us for the Left Coast Forum, Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech, where working families across Los Angeles and beyond. From economic justice to climate action, from healthcare to housing, we're bringing together the brightest minds and most passionate advocates for real solutions and real change. With workshops, 2 major keynote addresses, and a closing reception with great music and good food. It's the Left Coast Forum, where your voice matters and your ideas take action. Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the LA Progressive. The future won't wait, and neither should you. Mark your calendar now to be there and be heard. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's because addiction to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school to prison pipeline. Their approach, transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal, prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 3 in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com, sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. The Support Center is your one-stop shop for reconnections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Welcome back to BLM's It's Not Real, exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
Before I got money, I wasn't in track kicking dogs, and I'm just being honest. If you want more, then we cook up like an omelet, I'm just being honest. Throw me a 60 if I go to Magic or Honest, I'm just being honest. I keep a stick or a blicky in case it gets sticky, I'm just being honest. In case she know that I'm with it, I'm having this chick and this trick, and I'm just being honest.
My name is Amar Keone Abdullah, and you're listening to the Youth Vanguard Takeover edition of This Is Not a Drill. I'm in our Crenshaw studio with Shiraz Lawrence, preparing to go back to school. We want to take some time to talk about what our back to school looks like for us, because I'm heading into my sophomore year, transferring from Southern University in Baton Rouge to Clark Atlanta University, obviously in Atlanta. And Shiraz, you are doing great at Howard, but you're not heading back just yet. You're doing a year of service instead. Can you tell us a little bit about what that means and what you're doing?
Yes, I can. And if you caught it earlier, I did say I'm a rising sophomore at Howard with a twist. This is the twist. So I will be taking a year off from school to do a year of service, which is an endeavor through the Baha'i faith. if you're not familiar. And it is a year of work. So let's not think that this is some lackadaisical year, may not go back to college. I would definitely be returning back to college. And this year is very intentional. I'm going to be staying in a community in South Central LA, close to where I live, and doing a lot of grassroots work with children, all ages. I'll be doing children's classes, which is children from around 6 to about 11, and in different pockets, different neighborhoods, such as my own, and then other ones more towards Lamert, like that area. And then anything in any way that you can serve a community, I'll basically be doing. Another example could be a home visit, which, if you're not familiar, is exactly what it sounds like, in the sense of I'm just going to somebody's home and visiting them, which sounds really simple, but it's very effective when it comes to building community and vibrant communities. It really is a time where you can get to know a neighbor or get to know somebody in the community, and a lot of the time people are looking for people who are reaching out like this, and they're just waiting for somebody to reach out so they can have this connection, because people do want connection, whether they have it or not. At the end of the day, people need connection, and so making those extending that hand is definitely the first step in building a community like that. I'm not going to be doing this alone, though. I have 3 of my closest friends who will be doing it as well, and we're going to be taking on the year together. And so that's what my year is going to look like. So Howard, you will be missed, but I will see you again.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. It's good that you're able to do that, with people who you grew up with. I know shoot, I'm forgetting their names, but yeah, I know that these are people who you consider family, so it's really cool that you'll be able to do it with them.
Shout out Lucas, shout out Naeem, shout out Rama. Those are my brothers.
Yeah.
But what about you? I know you did really well at Southern. Really well. Why are you transferring to Clark?
I think I was just, for anybody who doesn't know, I went to Hamilton High School, and I majored in music technology while I was there. So if you're in the Academy of Music at Hamilton, you have to have a major, and my major was music technology. So I was doing audio engineering and stage production while I was there. I was also doing a little bit of A&Ring. We had like a student ran label that was there, so it was really that was really cool. And I think I just kind of felt like I abandoned that when I went to college. I was majoring in psychology, but Southern is not Southern is a music-based school, as you know.
Y'all band be going crazy.
We got the best band.
The best band.
Howard Band cannot compete.
All right.
Howard Band cannot compete, but we did have the best band. Oh, I'm saying we. It's not a we anymore. But now Clark has the best band. I'm going to just start saying that. But no, it wasn't very musical in the way that Hamilton was musical. And I think I was really just missing that aspect about my school experience, having, some sort of artistic outlet while I was at school. I think that's one of the things that really kept me going in high school. But also, I've been in LA my whole life. I'm from here, born and raised. And it was a culture shock, to say the least, going to Baton Rouge and trying to adjust to being, to me it's country, but they don't say it's country down there because, Louisiana has a lot of small cities. Baton Rouge is definitely one of the bigger cities in Louisiana, but to me, coming from LA, it's country. I know somebody from Louisiana is probably listening to this and being like, oh my God. But no, it was just a culture shock. And I think I realized that I really am, a city person to my core. So that's part of the reason why I'm so excited to be in Atlanta. Clark Atlanta has a really good mass media arts program, which is basically an umbrella term, if you're doing anything in the media. So music, film, production, communications, radio. You would go under the mass media arts major, and then you would have a concentration in whatever you want to go into. So I'm planning to major in mass media arts with a concentration in film. And yeah, I'm excited, but like anxiety because it's going to be my first time on campus there. Yeah.
I think it'll definitely be worth it, though. I mean, being comfortable in your school is definitely something that's really important, and it will affect your performance. You still performed good at Southern, but I think it's definitely easier to perform when you're enjoying where you are, and have that support system and things that make you comfortable, like music for you. So yeah, I think that'll be good for you.
Yeah, I think I was well, I am really excited, and I still think that my grades are going to be really good, but I think I'm experiencing a little bit of anxiety because, I'm not much of a college type going out person. We're on the radio, so I'm not going to get into it too much, but, that's not really my speed, so I feel like it allowed for me to be much more focused on school. So hopefully, I'll be able to apply that same focus to
this coming year.
Yeah, this coming school year at Clark Atlanta. You're listening to This Is Not a Drill. I am Amara Keone Abdullah, and we're live on KBLA Talk 1580 AM with Shiraz Lawrence in the co-host chair. We're talking about back to school. We're both at our HBCUs. Shiraz is at Howard, and I'm transferring to Clark. So, we'll dive into the main conversation when we come forward. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
More of BLM's This Is Not a Drill. Up next, we got a lot to talk about.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
There's nothing like when you get that part from eBay, and it just fits. Yeah, the first time. So you can do less of this and get right back to more of this. At eBay, you'll find all the parts you need, guaranteed to fit, at prices you'll love. Sounds good, doesn't it? eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Sometimes an identity threat is a ring of professional hackers. And sometimes it's an overworked accountant who forgot to encrypt their connection while sending bank details.
I need a coffee.
And you need LifeLock, because your info is in endless places. It only takes one mistake to expose you to identity theft. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services resources for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewdd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
BLM's This Is Not a Drill continues right now.
Tryna rain on the thunder. Tell a storm I'm new. I'ma walk, I'ma march on the regular. Painted white, black, blue. Lord, forgive me, I've been running blind in truth. I'ma rain on this bitter love. Tell the sweet I'm new.
You're listening to This Is Not a Drill. I'm Amara Keone Abdullah, and we're live on KBLA Talk 1580 with Shiraz Lawrence in the co-host chair. We're talking about back to school. We're both at our respective HBCUs. Shiraz is at Howard, and I'm transferring to Clark Atlanta. Shiraz, I was at Southern, and now I'm going to Clark. I've only ever considered an HBCU. What about you?
Actually, I can't say always considered, but after I was awakened to HBCUs, that was my only option. I didn't grow up really knowing too much about HBCUs.
Right, but your siblings, both your siblings.
Right. My sister was the first one. She attended Howard University. And I went there when I was young to just, move her in and stuff. And that was really when I was exposed to an HBCU for the first time. And I was like instantly when I was on that campus, I was like, I am going to be here. Like, no discussion.
Your brother, I know he transferred into Howard, right?
Yes.
So did he get there before or after your sister?
He got there after my sister, yes.
Okay. So
my sister was the
she kind of little broed her big bro.
What?
She kind of little broed him. That's kind of
Hey,
crazy.
you could take that up with them. But definitely, I can't imagine being anywhere else. HBCUs, I suggest for everybody and any black student who is planning on going to college. And yeah, I mean, you got a lot to worry about. I mean, you're going to have to be wearing uniforms, it sounds like, at your college.
I'm not wearing a uniform. Clark Atlanta, okay. So Clark Atlanta is making their freshmen wear uniforms. I'm transferring in as a sophomore, but I am a little scared that they're going to, spring it on me because it's my first year. So maybe they're like, oh, first-year students, you have to wear a uniform. I haven't been to my orientation yet, so...
But it's not like an everyday thing, though.
So I think it's for the first 3 days is what they're doing. But it's been a controversial topic. I wonder what their logic behind it is. My guess is that they're doing this so that they can, show their students what it looks like to be, professional. And, how they should present themselves in an academic setting, which makes sense. A lot of black schools, a lot of HBCUs really do emphasize that quote-unquote black excellence type of attitude. So that seems like what's going on here.
Right, but that's an interesting way of going about it because the uniform gives them something to wear, and it's like all you have to do is put it on and you can walk outside.
Yeah, there's no thought behind it, really.
Exactly, and I feel like if you're trying to kind of emphasize, practicing dressing.
Professionalism,
it would be not necessarily better, but constructive if they were building their own business attire.
Yeah, I think a really good example is the way that Morehouse does it, because that I think they have to wear suits once a week, if I'm not mistaken, but they have specific suit days, which I know is like a thing, and I think it really shows okay, we're just telling you that you have to wear a suit. Everything else after that is up to you.
Yeah, if you're gonna bring up Morehouse, then I just have to bring up Howard. The School of Business at Howard, they wear suits every single day.
Are you serious?
For the whole year, and it is like I can't even describe. Like, I'm not even in the school of business, but I was by it often, and so I would be around those students in those suits. And it's just it works.
That
Like,
sounds expensive though.
no,
Every day?
yeah. But when I would see them on campus, like,
You would be like, that's somebody
no,
who
yeah,
I should.
like I want that person. Like, if I got something I need, I'm going to them. Like, they look real professional. It's just like a whole lot of black excellence, and you can feel it when you see them. So it definitely has an impact.
Yeah, I've started my perspective on, the internet has changed in the past couple months. I feel like I've been enlightened, gotten out of the matrix when it comes to doom scrolling. But something that I do really appreciate about the internet is the fact that we're able to see, like all of these representations of the different types of black people and like the different types of examples that we have when it comes to, being young, gifted, and black. My grandfather used to play that song for us all the time. So, yeah, I think it's really cool. Like, just like showing that, being a black student in college doesn't look like one thing, that you don't have to, that you could take, that quote unquote professional route. Or you could also be a little bit more, artistic and expressive with the way that you dress. It's all up to personal preference. And I think that, that's something that our generation is really, really good about, like really just allowing each other to do what we do and have like a base level of respect for each other. And yeah.
Right. Yeah, I definitely thought that was going to be a discussion because I know, especially in Atlanta, people love to, come fresh, come clean, especially as a freshman. Like, this is your first time on campus. And I feel like a lot of people going to be mad that they can't pull out their, fresh Amiris and they fresh, all them clothes that they got ready lined up for the first day of school.
Yeah, they love them Amiris in Atlanta.
I love Atlanta.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that one of the things I'm particularly excited about Clark Atlanta is the fact that, the AUC, for those of you who don't know what the AUC is, I think it stands for Atlanta University Center. It's Clark, Morehouse, and Spelman. It's basically like you have a network of 3 schools if you go to any of them, which I think is so great because, like we constantly talk about what we want to study and, the route that we're planning to take as individuals, but, you're only as strong as your relationships. And I think it just shows like so much more, it just gives you so much more of an advantage if you're able to have like, that large network of people who are like rooting for you. We talked a little bit about, like our perspective on HBCUs. And, I know it's a controversial topic right now, especially because of the fact that they literally put a cap on student loans. Like, that's crazy. So a lot of people are not going to be able to go to HBCUs anymore because, as we know, HBCUs don't have the resources to give as much money as PWIs do. So a lot of the people who are at HBCUs have to take out loans.
Yeah, it was like every time it felt like I opened my phone, I saw a new student with a GoFundMe trying to stay at their school. I mean,
yeah.
Like most of my friends like ended up having to make a GoFundMe, and like it's affecting everybody really.
Yeah, I think it's really crazy, but at the same time, it's given me a more of an appreciation for our community because I don't think there's one person who put out a GoFundMe in order to stay at their school that didn't at least get a semester's tuition, right?
It was, they were
me and you
successful.
have a mutual friend who actually is able to go back to Howard because of the fact that, she put out a GoFundMe. So I'm really happy about that. But, like at the same time, these people shouldn't have to, fight that hard. But it kind of just reminds me that, like, even though we individually may not have tens of thousands of dollars to just hand out to somebody, when community comes together, like it really is rewarding in that way. And we all recognize the importance of education. I think that one of my favorite things about the fact that I'm at an HBCU, about HBCUs in general, is I feel like a lot of the times, even when you're at school, it doesn't feel like your school wants to see you win. But when you're at an HBCU, like everybody there sees them, all the staff there, all of the alumni, they see themselves in you. So they really are, you know, rooting for you to win. And I think that's a really niche experience. And I, you know, obviously with the history of HBCUs, that's what it had to be. So to me, that's one of, you know, the richest things about being at an HBCU.
Yeah, to kind of add to that, just a sense of family, I feel like, in the school. Like, even between the people that you do not know, there's still that bond that you guys share. And you could see it everywhere, like, even like you said, in like a cafeteria, like the way that we interact with like the people who work there, like it's still like a family type vibe. And like you said, everybody wants to see you succeed. There's nobody who is like preying on your downfall, you know, as the kids say these days. But yeah, so many aspects I love about it. But that's one of my favorite ones, just the family aspect for sure.
Yeah, I feel like you talked a little bit about how, you know, you kind of became aware of HBCUs a little bit later in life, a little bit later in your high school career. But it was never a choice for me. My family was always real, like, you have to go to an HBCU or we're not helping you with nothing. So it's not.
I like that mentality.
But I wanted to. So I'm glad that, you know, they emphasized it. But, you know, like, it's definitely something that I'm glad I made that choice. It was never something that anybody had to give me any type of convincing on. So, yeah. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580, and this is not a drill. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams says a 12th Harlem cooling tower tested positive for Legionella but will be fixed by Friday.
I want to reassure everyone the air is safe to breathe and there is no risk to our drinking water or our water supply.
92 people have been sickened in 3 weeks with 3 deaths. Health officials are urging those in 5 affected zip codes with flu-like symptoms to get treated quickly. Veteran rapper E40 is launching On One Infusion Wine, a flavored wine in mango, mixed berry, peach, pineapple, and strawberry. It will hit liquor stores nationwide in the coming months. And a federal judge has blocked the Trump administration from cutting funding to schools with DEI programs, ruling the move unconstitutional and a threat to educators' free speech. The decision also stops enforcement of an education department letter barring race-based decisions in education. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Let's be real. Student loans can be super stressful, but the Student Loan Empowerment Network is here to help with free one-on-one counseling, legal aid, and more. Learn more at studentloanhelp.dfpi.ca.gov or call 888-774-2227.
Break out the champagne. Everybody get a glass.
Tavis Smiley is now ranked number 16 nationally and the highest rated talk show hosted by an African American on the 2025 Talkers Heavy 100 list of the most important talk radio hosts in the nation. Last year, Tavis ranked number 33 and the year before, number 45. The Tavis Smiley Show has rapidly expanded its national syndication to now include nearly 50 radio stations across the country and counting. Congratulations, Tavis.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is not a drill. 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 This is real.
Hello, hello, hello. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580. My name is Amara Keone Abdullah.
And I'm Shiraz Lawrence. We're both members of the Black Lives Matter Youth Vanguard, and we're discussing student activism as folks return to school. There's a long history of student activism, especially black student activism, in this country and around the world. And it has been young people that have stood on the forefront of change.
We can think about everything from the student sit-ins and freedom rides that brought down segregation and won voting rights, to the Black Student Union takeover at Kent State University that won Black History Month. There were month-long campus upheavals at San Francisco State that birthed Black studies. And it was students who served as frontline organizers to bring an end to the war in Vietnam and in South Africa apartheid.
Even now, students are putting everything on the line to stop the genocide in Palestine. Last year, student encampments brought the Zionist occupation into full view and forced people to ask what side they are on.
Today, we're going to talk about student activism with one of our most powerful student activists, Angel Marie Taylor. She is an organizer with the Black Student Union at Cal State Channel Islands, and she is from South Central Los Angeles. Angel Marie was targeted and threatened with expulsion last year for leading rallies on campus that demanded services for Black students. Angel Marie Taylor, welcome to This Is Not a Drill.
Welcome.
Hi. Pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me today.
So excited to have you on. Could you tell us a little bit about, what prompted your decision to push against your university, to push them to actually care about their students, to care about, the issues that are happening in the world? Have you always been a student activist, or did this start when you got to college?
That's a good question. I would say that I've always been part of the minority. So I feel like because of that, I've always been a student advocate at the very least, if not a student organizer. Most of my life, I've attended PWIs, so predominantly white institutions, for school. And with that being said, whenever there was lack of resources, lack of funding, lack of anything, I was always part of that student group that felt it the most. So advocating for myself just for the mere sake of my education was literally always necessary my entire life. And unfortunately, that didn't change for me when I stepped into higher education, when I started going to college. I didn't choose an HBCU, so this was something that was kind of necessary. There is no really sense of belonging for Black people at institutions like Cal State Channel Islands. Things like that need to be forged by hand, by ourselves, by the people.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting when you talk about forging something for yourself, with the few other community members that you do have who are also, like Black people at your PWI. When it comes to really curating that community, how do you feel like that has helped you in terms of how good of a student you are, how good of an activist you are, and what does that look like? How important is community when it comes to activism and community work?
Community is everything. It's everything, Amara. I don't think that any of our accomplishments, any of our campaigns that have been successful would have gone through if not for the solidarity of those who stand around us. Cal State Channel Islands is actually an HSI, so it's not a PWI, but so the majority of the students on this campus are students of color, but Black people, we still to this day make up less than 2%, and that percent went down even more. I think we're closer to 1.3 this upcoming school year, because tuition just went up. There's a correlation there. So all of the wins that we have so far, for example, our Black Cultural Center. We were one of the very few CSUs in the state that didn't have a Black Cultural Center, despite us having some of the highest number of reported cases of anti-Blackness on our campus. So we were pushing, we were advocating. And so often our administration told us there aren't enough of you here to have a whole center to yourself. It really took our Chicanics allies, our faculty allies to stand behind Black students when we were advocating for this, for it to finally go through. And now we have a Black Cultural Center, and that's amazing. So things like that, it wouldn't have been possible without the solidarity and the intersectionality that we all share on this campus. The things that happen, that we experience as Black students, it's egregious, but it's not exclusive to just our community. And the more vocal we are about the connectedness of all of our struggles and all of our issues, the more of a support and the more of a coalition that we end up building around the issues to confront them together.
Yeah. And it's always great to like hear about those victories that you take, because they're so like motivating to continue for that push in that fight. But another thing I was wondering would be, it's easy to find support in students who are going through the same things that you're going through. And I would just ask if you have any support or there's people who are assisting you guys. That could be on like staff and like faculty, and oftentimes it's easy for them to just like let the students do their own thing, and if they're gonna fight for it, go ahead and fight for it. But I just wanted to hear if you had like a support, or if there's people in the school who kind of back you guys up, or if it's kind of just standing alone in this.
Yeah, of course. A long-term supporter of um, just fighting for Black rights and student rights at large on our campus would be the California Faculty Association, the CFA. They are the labor union for our faculty here in the Cal State system. And their support has been absolutely pivotal in the student movement, in the CSU in general, but of course at CSU Channel Islands. Specifically at CSU Channel Islands, there is one specific professor. He teaches philosophy. His name is John Caravello. He's well known throughout the community and throughout the state. And even more so, he's more well known because at Cal State Channel Islands, where we're in HSI, a lot of our student demographics are being impacted by the ongoing ICE raids right now happening in California. And he has many students who are immigrants or children of immigrants. And he has taken such a brave stance against this. And his stance against ICE being on campus as a faculty is 10 times more strong and more loud than students taking a stand against it. And not just that, he's taking his advocacy work off the campus into our local community to an ICE raid that happened less than 5 minutes away from campus. There was hundreds and hundreds of people unfortunately kidnapped and disappeared by ICE. But when I decided to go to that raid, he was right on the front lines next to me. So this is a faculty member who is truly standing on the front lines with their students who are coming from these vulnerable backgrounds. Like myself, my mom, she's an immigrant from the Philippines, and she is a deportation survivor. And when we as students share these stories with our faculty, we do have so many faculty within the CFA who are taking it seriously and are standing up, who are rising to like the call of duty to push back against these mechanisms of fascism when they come to our front door.
Yeah, I think it's really, really important right now to have genuine support from our professors. I think a lot of the times we don't talk about the role of the professor when it comes to student activism, especially, us being college students. But, like even when it comes to, even though we really love our HBCUs, there's still more that both of our institutions could have done when it comes to actually advocating for the people in Palestine. And I think that our professors really were like a huge support when it came to, like amplifying student voices, giving students a safe space when we were being targeted on campus. My sister was at Howard when October 7th happened. And I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong. Well, nobody's here to correct me, but I may be wrong. I may be wrong, but I think it was Dr. Carr who was one of my sister's biggest supports when she was organizing for Palestine.
You're correct.
I am correct?
Yeah.
Oh, Shiraz is at Howard
You're
too,
correct.
so he knows. But yeah, so I think it's really important for us to really have those people who have been in this work for a long time to have those relationships with, like to really give us that support. Obviously, I was raised by a professor, so, the role of the professor has always been like, really apparent to me. But I think it especially hurts my heart when I see students feeling like they don't have anybody who's like an elder who um, they can go to. I think that that's one of the things that makes me feel like the work that I'm doing is so purposeful, because I have somebody who's been in this space for so long coming to me and telling me, you're doing good, you're doing the right thing, and you need to keep going because the role of the student has always been to be at the forefront and to be putting that pressure on whatever institution is harming our communities. Um, so when we talk about Palestine, when we talk about uh, what it looked like for student organizing, how did you find people on your campus that were willing to support you in that pushback against your institution?
I feel like for us at Cal State Channel Islands, when October 7th hit, we already had like all the pieces like in line to like, okay, let's organize around this immediately. At Cal State Channel Islands, we were able to organize a coalition. It's called the Students Against Fascism Alliance. This includes Black Student Union, MECHA, Students for Justice in Palestine, Men's Soccer Club, like literally like most of the organizations on campus, whether it's affinity based or not, we're already part of this massive coalition in response to the originally in response to the increase in tuition hikes. We were organizing against the tuition hikes because we had data that proved that it was going to push out our most vulnerable communities that were already getting the short stick, which would be our Black and Indigenous and undocumented communities. And when we were bringing this attention to the public, so many other organizations, students, faculty, pro staff rallied behind us. So we already had like this alliance formed. So when October 7th popped off, it was this exact same like alliance that was able to call it what it is, which is a genocide right off the bat, and start organizing in meaningful ways around it. We were regularly going to the streets in our community to raise public awareness. We were doing mobilizations. We were going to our representatives' office and houses every week. We were doing everything under the moon until the encampments popped off, starting with Columbia University. We had so much to learn from there. And we're just like at Cal State Channel Islands, we're such a small university. There's only 4,000 of us there. So we do take so much inspiration from just watching other universities confront similar things. For example, our Students Against Fascism Alliance is actually based off of the BSU model that started over at San Francisco State University, and the way that that student union model included all these other organizations. So we had so much to learn from Columbia's University, and we had to partner with faculty from different Cal states to help us do research on whether or not our school actually was investing in the occupation state of Israel. When we found out that they were, at that time, we were actually at Cal State Los Angeles supporting their encampment to help them win divestment. And once we were able to finally confirm that our school was also complicit, we moved back to Cal State Channel Islands and started our own encampment. And again, it's the same united front. It's Black Student Union, MECHA, SQE, Students for Quality Education, and Students for Justice in Palestine, Liberation Education. So all of these orgs came together, and anywhere that we students couldn't fill certain mechanisms to keep this encampment sustained for 6 weeks, we were out there for 42 days straight. We were the last standing encampment in the state of California. Everywhere that students weren't able to cover all the gaps, faculty came in and filled those gaps. The community came in. They were regularly traveling out to the university to drop off food, water. We created an encampment that sort of was like a popular institution in ways that everyone who was trying to speak up for Palestine found a role that they themselves could fit. If you're a restaurant and you had, certain relationships with your landlord, you couldn't publicly come forward and say, oh, I support Palestine. They could at least like take their food for the day and donate to the encampment so the encampment could have food for that Tuesday. That's just an example. There were times where they tried to sweep the encampment. So faculty actually came out and slept with us on those specific nights, and they're way less likely to sweep faculty off their campuses than students. So that was a role that faculty helped play. we were also putting on like workshops and trainings every single day, essentially. So if you were a faculty member from physics, like physics department, you can't exactly, oh, we're against the genocide in Palestine because there's only 2 people in the department. You could come to the encampment and put on like a physics demonstration or do like starlight watching at the encampment, and that would be their way of contributing against the genocide. So it was all of these like amazing community members and amazing campus community members coming together to find different ways that we can all collectively fight against the genocide still happening in Palestine, while also using the occupation protests as leverage against our university to get them to divest.
Dive into the conversation more when we come forward. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
BLM, this is not a drill, continues when we come forward.
Whoa, it's you, the Capital One Bank guy.
That's what they call me.
Mind if I get a selfie?
Yeah, sure thing. Say no fees or minimums on your Capital One checking account.
Wow, that's a keeper. So, where are you heading?
I'm off to spread the good news that Capital One helps people keep more money in their wallet with no overdraft fees.
Oh, you're the best Capital One Bank guy.
Hey, mind if I get a selfie?
Sure.
Say, Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
Popsicles, sprinklers, a cool breeze. Talk about refreshing. You know what else is refreshing this summer? A brand new phone with Verizon. Yep, get a new phone on any plan with Select Phone Trade-in and My Plan. And lock down a low price for 3 years on any plan with My Plan. This is a deal for everyone, whether you're a new or existing customer. Swing by Verizon today for our best phone deals. 3-year price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate only. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you ready to be a part of the conversation that will help shape our nation's future? Get ready to join us for the Left Coast Forum, Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech, where progressive voices will come together to tackle the issues that matter most to working families across Los Angeles and beyond. From economic justice to climate action, from healthcare to housing, we're bringing together the brightest minds and most passionate advocates for real solutions and real change. With workshops, 2 major keynote addresses, and a closing reception with great music and good food. It's the Left Coast Forum, where your voice matters and your ideas take action. Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the LA Progressive. The future won't wait, and neither should you. Mark your calendar now to be there and be heard. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details.
BLM's This Is Not a Drill on KBLA Talk 1580.
Me, I'm super fly, super duper fly, super duper fly. Me, I'm super fly, super duper fly, super duper fly. Me, I'm super fly, super duper fly, super duper fly.
You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580. My name is Amara Keone Abdullah, and I'm sitting here with Shiraz in the co-host chair, and we have Angel Marie on from California State University Channel Islands. as our guest today.
I want to ask you about your choice in your school. Um, whether it was something you always knew, whether it was something it was like, okay, for this reason, I choose to go here instead of, I don't know, anything, an HBCU. Um, just what impacted your decision when choosing what school you were going to go to?
That's a really good question. My decision for schooling, for career, all those big moves is always going to be based on my family. I chose Cal State Channel Islands because it's the only state university in Ventura County. And at the time that I graduated high school, my family, we were out here in Ventura County. My father is former military. So he and my mom are from South Central LA. He didn't go to college, so he was really limited in terms of his own employment options. So him, like most other service members in the U.S. military, he was poverty pimped. So I did grow up a military child, and we were living in Ventura County. So when I graduated, I was like, oh, well, I have to be close to my family. I have 3 younger siblings, so that's why I chose CCCI. It was not my first choice. I low-key wish we were living in Mississippi so I could go to Jackson State. That's the dream, right? That's the goal. But no, that was why I made the decision.
Always grad school. So if that's something that you want to do, you know, I'm not too fond of Jackson State as somebody who was at Southern. You know, we have a little beef going on, but if that's what you want to do. I think that, you know, a lot of people, especially in the Black community, we like to kind of tussle with each other when it comes to, you know, which Black people decided to go to, you know, non-Black schools versus HBCUs. And I always think that that's such an insensitive conversation, just because of the fact that, you know, we were just talking about, before you got on the air, we were just talking about how this cap on student loans is going to make it so that a lot of people are not able to return to their HBCUs because, you know, a lot of us who are at HBCUs had to take out student loans because of the fact that our schools don't have the resources to give us as much money as, you know, maybe a PWI would. And so we're kind of facing the issues that a lot of people chose to like maneuver around. Like, I know a lot of my friends, I have a friend who had amazing grades in high school. She did, you know, like a lot of extracurricular activities. She was like a perfect student. Her dream school was Spelman, and she wasn't able to go because they just didn't give enough money. She's at CSUN now, and she really, really loves it. She's one of those people who can, like, kind of get in anywhere. But I think especially when we talk about student activism, I think the conversation can be a little tricky when it comes to, you know, talking about pushback against HBCUs because, you know, these are such, you know, prominent pillars within the Black community. These are, you know, institutions that have given us safe haven in the academic space during times where we were not, you know, generally, where it was not normal for Black people to go and receive higher education. So to me, it really breaks my heart when I see HBCUs not supporting their students in ways that, you know, in the ways that we say we need them to. And so, you know, I'm glad that you found an institution that's, you know, like helpful for you, that, you know, works for you, that allows for you to stay close to family. But I think especially like when me and Shiraz discussed like being a student activist and what it looks like to really like put heat on your university, it can just feel a little tough for us because we don't want to publicly shame, you know, the places that we love so much because we really do love our schools. Shiraz, I was wondering if there was ever a situation where you felt like you wanted to put the heat on Howard, but there was just so many factors. Because I feel like there's a lot of pushback against HBCUs right now because of the fact that, oh, HBCUs never want to give anybody any money. Guys, like, are we forgetting that? Are we, like, trying to gloss over the fact that they could just not have it? Like, I'm not saying that it's okay and that we should have to struggle to be in places where we are the majority, because that's a very niche experience, and I think that everybody who wants to have that experience should be able to get it. But it's just the truth that HBCUs don't have the same resources that PWIs do. So yeah, like I think especially with, you know, some of the controversy that Howard has gone through when it comes to like the dorms not being up to the student standards when it comes to the housing crisis, because I think they have very minimal housing, right? Like it's really hard for students to get housing on campus. And, you know, now with them not, you know, giving enough support to what's happening in Palestine, it's just kind of like it's kind of a sticky situation.
Yeah. Howard is love Howard. Definitely they have some issues and their issues. When it comes to like housing and like financial aid, definitely it's like you said, it's the root of it is that the school as a whole lacks the funding. Whether or not students are able to wrap their heads around that and not blame it on Howard is between, you know, whatever you think. But for me personally, when it came to the housing, I didn't experience there was like the washer and dryer didn't work, which I guess you can tie to funding. And we did kind of have to protest in a way to get that up to date. But Howard actually did respond pretty well and pretty timely. So we did get that updated. But there's always something, not that there's always something to fix, but there's always going to be something that you can improve on.
Yeah. And I think it just comes down to how your university responds to it. You know, like there's never going to be a perfect institution. It's never going to be, you know, that everybody is happy all the time. But I think it's just about like, you know, adjusting as time progresses, you know? So I'm glad that we finally got to, you know, have that discussion, because I feel like there's been a lot on social media with people in our age groups kind of talking about, oh, HBCUs never want to give any money, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, you're listening to KBLA Talk 1580 AM, and we've got a lot to talk about.
BLM's This Is Not a Drill continues when we come forward.
I'm Tammy Eswick with BIN News Now. Big trouble for New Orleans Black Mayor LaToya Cantrell. A new federal indictment accuses her and a former police officer who was also assigned as her bodyguard of a fraud scheme where the feds claim she used city money to hide their romantic relationship. Prosecutors say the two swapped more than 15,000 WhatsApp messages, racked up over $70,000 in travel on taxpayers' dime, deleted evidence, and then lied to the grand jury. Here's the acting U.S. attorney.
It's irrelevant that it's romance or that it's female. What is relevant is that it is an incredible breach of the public trust.
Cantrell insists she's done nothing wrong. Hurricane Erin is now a Category 4 storm with sustained winds of 145 miles per hour. A fourth person is dead from Legionnaire's disease in Harlem. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Let's be real. Student loans can be super stressful, but the Student Loan Empowerment Network is here to help with free one-on-one counseling, legal aid, and more. Learn more at studentloanhelp.dfpi.ca.gov or call 888-774-2227.
Break out the champagne. Everybody get a glass.
Tavis Smiley is now ranked number 16 nationally and the highest rated talk show hosted by an African American on the 2025 Talkers Heavy 100 list of the most important talk radio hosts in the nation. Last year, Tavis ranked number 33, and the year before, number 45. The Tavis Smiley Show has rapidly expanded its national syndication to now include nearly 50 radio stations across the country and counting. Congratulations, Tavis.
Yay, yay!
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRANGER, click Granger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to BLM's This Is Not a Drill. Now, back to the conversation.
It could all be so simple, but you'd rather make it hard.
All right, welcome. This is KBLA Talk 1580, and we are back with our conversation. I wanted to continue by asking about any sort of backlash that you guys faced when doing all that you do, and how it looks, where it comes from, and how you guys deal with it.
I laugh because there's been so many forms of backlash and retaliation, targeting, harassment, stalking, surveillance, the whole spectrum. It kind of goes into something that you and Amara were talking about earlier about how it's kind of hard to fight for change within your institution while also like not wanting to shame your school because they're so good to you. And this just the way that it makes you stand out. I think one, recognizing that Black people are already the like extreme minority at Cal State Channel Islands, we already stand out. There are only so many of us, and everyone already knows who we are, just because there's like less than 200 of us on the entire campus. And then in addition to that, at Cal State Channel Islands, because there's so few of us, whenever there's like not even organizing, just simple advocacy or representation of the Black voice in certain spaces, we are so culturally taxed. It's the same projects, the same initiatives, the same conversations that are following the same people over and over and over again, just because there aren't like long-term sustainable mechanisms within the institution for other people who are not Black to take on anti-Black initiatives. So already standing out in both of these ways at CCCI, organizing on top of that, if there wasn't already this huge target on our backs, it's that. Um, so many schools kind of like present themselves to the public as like, oh, come invest in us, come invest in us, we don't have enough money, we need people to donate. So any sort of complaints, mobilizations, organizing, it looks really, really bad for the school's reputation. So it makes sense from the school's point of view to want to push back and suppress that as much as possible, and that's exactly what we've been seeing at Cal State Channel Islands. Most of the organizing happening on campus does revolve around Black students. Just because, again, when it comes to these budget cuts, when it comes to staff cuts, these pockets of our campus community that are being neglected, 9 times out of 10, that's where our Black students are. So we're constantly at the forefront, and that means that we're constantly the ones getting pushed back against. For example, at the encampment that I spoke about earlier, it was so many community members, faculty members, and students who were staying out there, and we had our vehicles parked overnight on campus. Everyone's cars were like getting ticketed by campus police every now and then. My car, I was the only black student at that encampment. My car was ticketed every single day for all 6 weeks. So everyone had like maybe like $90 of like tickets by the end of the protest, the occupation protest. I had $500 alone just for parking tickets on that campus for during that protest. So that's like one way that retaliation looks like from university police. There was another incident where I was just disenrolled entirely from the university. No explanation, no warning, no nothing, no apology. Right after I had went to the highest level of our administration, the Board of Trustees, and condemned them for wanting to raise tuition for greedy purposes without putting it in any mechanisms to help Black students like myself not get priced out of school. And I appeared on like public media, on public news, and the next day I was just dropped from the university altogether. I was blocked out of my classes for 2 months. I ended up failing that entire semester, and it pushed back my graduation an entire year. So it comes in all of these different ways. Me and other Black student organizers, when we're finishing our shifts really late at night, we're driving off campus. Campus police have followed us, like tailed our cars, like off campus all the way to our homes, way into the city, like way, way, way far away. So it honestly has ranged from retaliation to surveillance to stalking to harassment to it's been everything under the sun. They're all intimidation tactics to like try to get us to like not come back to the school, to stop our organizing. But again, like we have put up like 10 toes on the ground despite this, because it's ourselves and our community that we're fighting for at the end of the day. This is a battle that we can't afford to lose. Like we need our education. We fought so hard just to make it to higher education. Now that we're here, like we can't be priced out. We can't just give in.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting hearing that like these things are allowed, but this is also not the first situation that I've heard that's like this. You know, like we have, well, me and my sister, we know someone who we kind of grew up with. She goes to Columbia now. Her name is Aya, and she was protesting for Palestine. Only her school tried to make it seem like it was like something that they had to do. when it came to delaying her graduation. She was supposed to graduate this past spring, and she ended up getting suspended from campus, so she wasn't allowed to go back to campus. And this was around finals. And so she wasn't able to take one of her finals because she was not allowed on campus. So when she was trying to contact her professor and figure out, like, oh, could I take this final online, something like that, the professor was just not being helpful. The professor was not, like, even with a lockdown browser, it just wasn't, like, something that they were willing to work with her on. And so she ended up having to stay another semester, which I personally think is just, like, so insane. Like, you and Aya, you have your whole lives planned out when you go to college, you know? Like, you kind of have a timeline that you want to meet. And I can't imagine, like, having something like that push back your timeline after you've done everything in your power to, like, make sure everything, you know, goes according to how you want things to go. Not that, you know, like, this is ever, that your life is ever something that you can completely plan out, but it's good to have, like, an outline at least, you know? And I think, to me, it just seems so like you're not putting yourself in the student's shoes when you actually are willing to put their lives on hold in order for you to come off as, like, this noble person, this noble institution where you don't have any issues and you don't have any of the problems that, you know, these students say you do have. So that's really messed up, and I'm sorry that that happened to you, Angel Marie. When it comes to being targeted by your institution, you were talking a little bit about, you know, like, pushback and blah, blah, blah. I think it's really interesting for me to see you diving into that because, you know, we've kind of seen a lot of, like, the narrative is that, you know, you have to be vengeful if you're an activist. Activism is anger. And even though it is anger sometimes, we funnel that anger into a bigger cause, you know, like, we make it something that's not just about us, but this is an example of things that are happening to students all across the country. So when we have those discussions, I think it's really important for us to, like, really talk about not just the impact that it has on us personally, but the impact that it has on our peers, the impact that it has on, you know, people who are coming into college and how much better it's gotten, because it has gotten better. Even though we have a long way to go, I think it's really important for us to, like, recognize that we weren't even always able to say the things that we say out loud. We weren't able to even organize a group of students to have those discussions. They had to do it in private. And so we want to, you know, pay homage to the people who organized before us. We want to emphasize the importance of, like, really learning from our past and, you know, learning from our forebears, because, you know, that's the reason why we are able to be here. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580. We're going to dive into the main conversation more when we come forward. We've got a lot to talk about.
BLM's This Is Not a Drill, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
During this time, it's important for everyone to know your rights. The 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendments in the U.S. Constitution protects every one of us, regardless of immigration status. The 4th Amendment requires a judicial warrant to search your home. The 5th protects your right to remain silent, and the 6th gives you the right to an attorney. Just remember,
No warrant, no key. For privacy. You don't have to speak. No lawyer inside. Don't say you think. Yeah, we all got rights.
Hey, we all got rights.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com, sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions, like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. Every girl deserves a chance to shine. That's the belief behind Forgiving for Living, Inc. Since 1999, this organization has been empowering at-risk girls ages 13 to 18, helping them overcome behavioral and mental health challenges. Founder Wendy Gladney's personal journey inspired the mission to give girls hope and purpose through the power of forgiveness. Through their ambassador program, workshops, and annual conference, Forgiving for Living has touched over 3,000 young lives, providing mentoring, life skills, training, and tools for building self-esteem and confidence. You can make a difference. Visit forgivingforliving.org to donate, volunteer, become a mentor, or find help for a young girl in need. Forgiving for Living, Inc., building brighter futures for young girls. Visit forgivingforliving.org today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
BLM's This Is Not a Drill continues right now.
My name is Amara Keone Abdullah. I have Shiraz Lawrence in the co-host chair. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a caller on line one, Miss Rebecca. Are you there?
Yes. Hi, Amara. Thank you for taking my call. And thanks to all of you for the work you're doing. I'm so inspired to see that young people are stepping in and doing the work that some of us older people thought, we were in a good place, but obviously not. And but I wanted to ask Angel in particular. Angel, I was with BLM at when we came out to Channel Islands when you were facing those proceedings there, and I was with my friend Linda from Code Pink. And so we still have a Code Pink shirt for you, but I wanted to ask, I see that you've become more involved in the advocacy against these recent raids, and you were at the farm with Professor Caravello, and at that time, Black Lives Matter put out a call for folks to call Julia Brownlee's office. She was the Congress member that responsible for Ventura County. And so I wanted to ask you if there ever was a response from Julia Brownlee's office to Professor Caravello's case specifically, because I'm her constituent, and we have been organizing some against in front of her office on various matters. And I have not received any word from her office if she actually, spoke up on his behalf. She just put out some general statement about how she was, obviously against what was going on. But that's not enough for me. So I was curious to see if you had any more information on that. And also, how can we help you? Now you're going back to school. How can we help the students and put pressure on the local politicians in Ventura County?
Hi, Miss Rebecca. Thank you so much for calling in and for staying up to date with what's been going on over here in the area. To answer your first question, no, Brownlee's office did not put out anything in regards to John's release. Our other congressperson, though, here for the district, Congressperson Carbajal, he did unite with another assembly member and some other district assembly members to put out a joint statement calling for John's release. But Brownlee's office did not. Historically, we don't really have the best relationship with that specific congressperson, just because we emailed her so much and wrote her so many letters around the genocide for Palestine, genocide in Palestine during the encampment. So still haven't heard anything. And for your second question, I think just like staying tapped in the way that you already are about what's been going on is the best thing that you can do. The new school year is about to start, and we're seeing a lot of different shifts. So our call to action this semester is going to be a little bit different than last semester, but updates are definitely coming out soon. So definitely stay tapped in. And thank you so much again, Ms. Rebecca, for your support.
For work too. Thank all of you.
All right. Thank you so much for calling. Yeah, I think it's really important that we have that conversation about what the role of, you know, elected officials are. We always say we do not endorse candidates as Black Lives Matter, but somebody who we hold very near and dear who is a member of Black Lives Matter is Assemblymember Isaac Bryan. So I think that he's a really good example of what you should be like if you're going to be an elected official. I don't think that, you know, being a political figure is inherently negative, but I do think that it's very easy to go in with good intentions and then get corrupted when you actually cross that bridge. So, yeah, like politicians definitely have a role, but I wanted to ask you, Angel Marie, what do you feel compelled you to look for other institutions, or not institutions, organizations, to help you in your struggle? Because I feel like a lot of the times we feel like there's such a huge divide when it comes to like who's organizing for what, like we're against each other, or like we're in competition with who gets the most in terms of like, you know, recognition. But you specifically asked for help, and you were the one to reach out and say like, hey, I'm doing this on my campus. I was wondering if you guys could help me in any way.
I would say it's because I truly believe that we are all victims under fascism, and just recognizing that we all have the same struggle. There's no reason why we shouldn't all be on the front lines fighting against it. We have been under fascism for quite some time now. This isn't just a new thing that happened with our new administration. We've been under it. And again, those of us who are the most marginalized Black, Brown, and Indigenous people, undocumented people, that's a lot of what already makes up the CCCI community. So it was already like from the get-go a united front. But even then, recognizing just that, it's not enough. It takes communities who maybe aren't marginalized, but are still being impacted by the fascist regime to step up and step forward. And we're much more powerful that way. I think it's kind of in the same way that we can all see ourselves in Palestine. Like we have more in common with the Palestinian people that are oceans and continents away than we do with our own campus administration. That's like right around the corner from like the building. Like that's wild to say, but like that's our reality. So just like, because that's my belief and because that's how I'm viewing it, and because that's the way that like other folks are able to view it too, I think that's what's made way for the united front that we have now. And I think there's like also a quote that kind of speaks to this too. What you allow to happen to your neighbor will happen to you. So the same kind of student retaliation that I, as a Black organizer at CCCI, have been facing for years, it started happening to our women of color organizers over at Cal State San Marcos. So then we had a Hands Off Students campaign that started addressing retaliation at large for all students. So it really is something that if you allow to happen in one place, it's gonna happen to you. So we have to stop it everywhere that it happens, no matter who it happens to.
Last little question. I wanted to ask you, what your biggest or who your biggest motivation is when doing all this stuff, because there has to be something that really drives you and that you look up to. So that would be my last question.
That's a big question. You're gonna make me blush. Like in the most serious way possible, it's Dr. Melina Abdullah. I have been a huge fan and follower of her work since before I even stepped into college. The fact that I even know her in the real life still like makes me like, oh my gosh. But no, I mean that in a real way. Like as Black women who are constantly like on the lines fighting for these issues day in and day out, it's really easy to doubt yourself. It's really easy to gaslight yourself because the system will make you feel like you're crazy every time. And whenever you experience these pushbacks, you experience these things, it's always justified from their end. It's really easy to like spiral out. And just looking to someone like Dr. Abdullah, who had been doing the work for years and is just as strong, in fact, gets stronger every day. The pushback makes her stronger every day, and she's just so kind and graceful and real. That's just something that we don't really get to see too often, I feel like, in our day-to-day life. So just remembering that figures like Dr. Abdullah, Dr. Tabitha Jones, like women like that exist, that's what really helps me stay like remotivated at the end of my day. Like, okay, like, no, I'm not crazy. Like, we're doing the right thing. You know, there are other people who've been doing it too. So yeah, just other black women revolutionaries are what keep me grounded.
Think it's, well, obviously I understand how great my mom is, but even though it's probably a little bit cliche for me to say that she's my inspiration as well, I really don't know who else I would say for that. She really is great, and I understand what you mean when you say like people will try to make you feel like you're crazy when you're advocating for what actually is going on in the world. So yeah, that's definitely something that, like I know you were saying that you were blushing and feeling a little like jittery, but no, like I agree with you. We have the same person and we have different relationships with her, but I'm so glad that, you were able to form that relationship, and I'm so glad that we were able to have you here. We want to say
Just want to say real quick, you're my motivation too, Auntie. Just so you know, want to throw that in there. You're my motivation too.
But yeah, we want to tell everybody, we want to say thank you, first of all, to Angel Marie for coming on and being a guest. We want to have everybody follow Black Lives Matter Los Angeles at BLM Los Angeles on Instagram and at BLM Grassroots. As a reminder, BLM Grassroots is Black Lives Matter. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Amara Keone Abdullah.
Shiraz Lawrence.
And this is Not a Drill.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.